Hey guys, this is Anton and welcome to a special E3 2014 edition of the HellfireCast. This is going to play out a little bit differently to how we did things last year. For starters, it's just going to be me, because unfortunately I wasn't able to round up a group of co-commentators to help cover the whole thing. And secondly, I'm only going to be talking about Nintendo today. I don't want to sit here being cynical about Microsoft, about Sony, about EA, about Ubisoft. I'd rather focus on the positives here, and for me, Nintendo killed it this E3. And I say that as a very, very cynical Nintendo fan. And I wasn't always like that. But ever since, I would say around maybe like the tail end of the Wii, I started to move in a more cynical direction with them, calling them out on all their mistakes. You know, giving them shit on a constant basis. Oh, they never change, they can't do this right, they can't do that right. And I'm not just saying that to make it seem like they did better overall. No, this was a class event. And by the end of this podcast, I hope you understand why I feel the way I did, and why I enjoyed the event as much as I did. So, without further ado, I'm going to do a recap of the digital event. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about the days that followed, and then I'm just going to sum up my thoughts and whatnot. This shouldn't be too long. I don't really want to subject you guys to, like a solo end-time experience for hours on end, and, I've got other stuff to do, so let's get on with it. Just going to bring up my little summary list here. Thank you, Kato, for this, by the way. It's nice to know that one of us can think ahead and note the stuff down. Now, I feel I should give you a little bit of context before I actually start recapping this. Don't worry, it won't take too long. Last year, Nintendo opted not to have a full E3 press conference. They instead put out a special E3 Nintendo Direct. And this upset and disappointed a lot of people, myself included, because the best part of E3, for me at least, was always the grandeur and spectacle of these massive hour-long press conferences where the bigwigs get up on stage and shit talk and whatnot, the competition, and then they show new trailers and everything's all quotation marks epic and wonderful. And the Direct just kind of paled in comparison, and the fact that they were running it on Ustream, which is really, really bad for streams in my opinion. I'm kind of biased towards Twitch in that regard. It just kind of soured the whole experience. This year, however, they wisely decide to host the live stream not only on YouTube, and I believe they did that last year as well, so I apologise for just throwing it all on Ustream here, but they also decided to host it on Twitch as well, and they started hosting on Twitch with the Smash Bros. Direct, which I guess was a taste of things to come. And this year, their digital event wasn't just a more expansive Nintendo Direct, it was, like the name implied, a digital event. It was the show itself, and then 3 days of constant coverage from the Treehouse Company. And I've got a lot to get through here, so I'll leave the squeeing to the end. The digital event opened, rather surprisingly actually, with a Robot Chicken skit, where Figure Reggie came on, did all this not my problem stuff, kind of funny, where this journalist was talking shit in the audience, like, where's Star Fox, where's Mother 3, and he's like, not my problem. And then it faded to black, and it faded in, there was Iwata, looking all stern and ready to battle, and then there's Reggie, he's also looking stern and ready to battle. I had no idea what to make of this. Honestly, I kind of suspected it was something to do with Smash Bros. Then they started beating the shit out of each other, and it was the most exaggerated, silly, amazing thing I've seen of E3 in recent years. It was very enjoyable, and someone's actually made a kind of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure parody of this, where, they splice in the music, Stand Proud, from JoJo Part 3, and it's hilarious. But this was all to lead into the fact that they announced the Mii Fighter as a playable character in Smash Bros. And if you know me, you know I've been wanting the Mii in Smash Brothers for years. Not just so I can make myself and then like make a Hell Dragon me and have the two of us battle it out to see who's the real champion and boss of Hellfire Comms. No, just because it's an interesting concept to have like these caricatures of real world people, like for example Lincoln or Elijah Wood or Ice-T, pour it on as they take on like Mario, Link, Zelda, Pikachu, etc. And Sakurai could have very easily phoned this in, giving them moves from games like Wii Party, Wii Music and such. But he instead opted to make them fully fleshed out fighters. And fully fleshed out is the key term here. Mii fighters come in 3 varieties, to directly paraphrase the man himself. Mii Brawler, who's kind of your standard fighting game character, punches and kicks, fights without any weapons of any kind and such, unless he picks up a beam sword, I guess. Then he just becomes Mii Sword Fighter, which is the second variety of Mii Fighter. It is exactly what it says on the tin. They use a sword, they stay cool and calm as they track down their foes. And the third one was a Samus-esque Mii Gunner character, and they can use all kinds of projectiles and the like. I'm not sure which one I'm gonna main, but I'm kind of leaning towards the sword fighter right now. I enjoy sword wielding characters, that's why Link is one of my mains, I guess. And it wasn't just that there were 3 types of Mii fighter available. No, it was the depth of the customization that kind of blew my mind. Mii's can mix and match their special moves, so you are really creating your own character here. This is something that is actually new to Smash 4 as a whole, where you can mix and match moves. But that, combined with the fact you can actually change the clothes of your Mii fighter to fully customize them, just makes it that much more special. And it was just instant love, really. I got exactly what I wanted from the word go in this digital event. And just before Sakurai actually announced just who and what the character on screen was, it had Iwata and Reggie actually playing the game, and Iwata brings out a little statue or assist trophy of Mario doing his Smash 4 pose. Quite a highly detailed statue as well, or toy, if you will, but regardless. What you do, and this is the NFC thing, I guess they were, hyping up or teasing and the like, is it has a little chip inside it. If you place the statue in the lower left part of the gamepad, where that little white rectangle is, it will transmit data into the game that you're playing, and in regards to Smash, it will summon up a CPU avatar that will fight for you, and this avatar will, learn, grow, evolve over time the more it fights. And, you take the thing off the pad, the character goes away, you put it back down, boom, it's back in the game. And whereas regular CPUs max out at level 9, these ones can go up to level 50, so you're looking at some pretty beastly competition here. I'm not sure what the restrictions are, but I imagine there would be a cap on them online. Otherwise things will become very unbalanced very quickly. Then Sakurai shows off a bunch more footage from Smash 3DS, which is looking like a pretty tasty package, I'm not gonna lie. It may actually be the go-to version for single player and the like, because I honestly don't know what's going to take the place of Smash Run for the Wii U version of the game, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. That is the one that is released in second, after all. And after the Smash segment's done, Reggie comes on, says, "How you doing? I got these little figures. They're called Amiibos, and you're going to buy every single fucking last one of them." And had I the money, dear viewer, I would probably be doing just that, because they look pretty fancy. And Amiibos aren't quite Skylanders or Disney Infinity tier when it comes to statue collectibles and whatnot. These ones work across games. It's not just like there's a Smash Bros. One, it will work for Smash Bros. I guess you could say it's like a memory card that transmits unique data for each game. So, a little bit more complex than Skylanders or Disney Infinity. And Smash Bros. Obviously is the first one that will use this feature, and it's releasing actually alongside the Wii U version of Smash Bros. This holiday, or Christmas to give it its actual term. The next game is going to be Mario Kart 8, and I have no idea what features it's going to unlock in MKA. Optional features, mind. It would be cool if, say, it gave characters exclusive moves, like in Double Dash, maybe? You know, like Giant Fireball, Chain Chomp, etc. But, you know, I'm just spitballing here. I love the fact they threw in a clip of Luigi's death stare in this little amiibo explanation demo. I guess the digital event was being edited right up to the day. But, anyway, Reggie waffled on for a bit, and, you know, I got the gist of amiibo. It looks pretty interesting. I don't know if I'm going to collect them all, but, what you gotta do. Smash 3DS, by the way, is being pushed back. It's being delayed, which honestly should not come as a surprise to anyone. Sakurai is very, very anal retentive when it comes to the quality of his games. If he wants to delay them so it's perfect, he will delay them so it's perfect, and it is now releasing October 3rd. Next up was a game that a lot of people, myself included, thought was cancelled. Yoshi's Woolly World, previously known by the fans as Yarn Yoshi. And two fellas from the Goodfield company came on and said, "Hello mates, this is our game, it's Yoshi, it's made by Goodfeel, we are Goodfeel, we hope you feel good when you play our game." And it looks good, it's very cutesy, the music is, well above that in the most recent of Yoshi games, and it looks fun, I guess. It's not exactly the same as Kirby's Epic Yarn, and it does look fun, it has a cart mode. That's really all I have to say about it. I think my Yoshi enjoyment, platform-wise, peaked with the original Yoshi's Island, but that by no means means Woolly World is a bad game. It's cute, it has some nice music, especially the boss music that I caught in the Treehouse coverage of it, and it looks pretty good. That's a 2015 title, though, so you're going to have to wait a bit for that one. The next game was Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. I believe this is a spin-off of sections that were found in 3D World. I've honestly yet to play 3D World. The first Wii U game I played was Mario Kart 8, technically Pikmin 3. I decided to, you know, give that a little go before I delved into Mario Kart 8. But Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, for those of you who don't know, is an expanded version of the segments that can be found in 3D World, where you, Captain Toad, go around these little puzzle environments, trying to find gems, find the exit, etc. And you have to like manipulate the camera angle to find paths and whatnot. It looks pretty fun, actually, I'm not going to lie, because since you can't jump, you have to manipulate the environment more than you would in a regular Mario game. Puts me in mind of Pushmo, actually, and I fucking love Pushmo. It's one of my favourite puzzle games to date. So, that comes out this year, later this year. I believe, I want to say October, but don't quote me on that. It's around that portion of the year. Next, they showed Zelda Wii U, and boy oh boy, I was looking forward to this one. Here comes Aonuma, giving it all this. Oh, we've changed up the conventions of the Zelda universe, like, when it went 3D, we had to restrict it, place like loading boundaries, so when you go through a mass of blackness, you come out on the other side and the area's loaded. That won't need to happen for Zelda Wii U. Boom! Open world Zelda has kind of like a hybrid Wind Waker, Skyward Sword design. Kind of puts me in mind of like Miyazaki's work and so on. And it looks gorgeous. And the trailer, for lack of a better word, ended with Link being chased through the woods by this mechanical spider mech shooting laser beams. And Link fires explosive arrows at this thing, jumps off Epona, fires out this laser arrow, and then it turns to face him. He has really long, like, sideburns, I guess? Hair strips, to use the technical term. And it reveals that it is, in fact, a 2015 title. With what little information they gave, I'm not super hyped about it. But the art style alone has sold me, and the promise of proper open world gameplay, where there's like no restraints, no restrictions, really excites me. I'm looking forward to play a Zelda game that has the scale of Skyrim, but with the dungeon/level design of Zelda, the musical style of Zelda, and just the feel, and, you know, character design of Zelda. So, basically Zelda, but in a Skyrim package, as it were. And that's going to be a 2015 title, so gonna have to wait, I'm afraid. Next up, they showed a new trailer for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. If you've been following along with the X playthrough, or checked out information on Cerebi, Bulbapedia, etc., you'll probably be up to date with this, but it's looking pretty good. It already looks like an advancement over X and Y, at least technically, although I don't have the game in my hands, so I can't confirm Slowdown yet, although I definitely can confirm Hoenn at this point. But I'm looking forward to that. It'll be interesting to see Hoenn at night. I think this is something we're taking for granted here. This is an entire other side of a game that we haven't seen yet. We've seen Hoenn during the day, but how will these familiar areas look and feel during nighttime? It's a very superficial kind of thing to hype up a game with, but for me it will just be a new way to experience the game, and all the added content like Mega Evolutions, new gameplay features and such will be, very interesting to get my hands on and get to grips with. And I believe from some of the leaked screenshots that secret bases are back. If they combine that with online play, I think we'll have a bit of not really a game changer, but a very interesting feature on our hands. Next up, they showed a bit more Bayonetta 2. I played a bit of the first game. It kicked my arse. Not the game's fault in any capacity. Just not for me. Looked very high quality. Very fast, very smooth. Looks like it plays like a dream. The main thing about this was not the new gameplay that was shown, as nice as it was. It was the fact that they're putting in with Bayonetta 2 a redone version of the first game, Bayonetta 1. It now plays at 60 frames per second, whereas the PS3 version played at 30. You get Nintendo costumes, such as Princess Peach, Link, yes, complete with the Master Sword, and Samus, and both games, Bayonetta 1 and 2, will come in the same package and will launch this October. I'm not even a Bayonetta fan, and that's pretty hype-worthy, I gotta say. Next up, they showed Hyrule Warriors, and I would say I was hyped from the conception of this game when we first got info, but recently I've started to become more and more hyped as, info has been drip-fed to us. Link's playable, Impa Skyward Sword variety is playable, and now it's been revealed. Actually, it was revealed the date of the digital event a few hours before, actually, which kind of took the wind out of the proverbial sails of this little gameplay segment, that Princess Zelda and Midna, Imp Midna from Twilight Princess, will be playable. Zelda's design looks great, I gotta say, and I'll get into this with Treehouse later, but the game looks and plays nice. It just does. It's, Dynasty Warriors. It's all about cutting down hundreds of enemies, and it seems very repetitive. But I remember playing Dynasty Warriors some number or another around Tundra Boy's place back in the day, and we played co-op, and in co-op it was a very fun experience. And this game does feature co-op, and as the devs say, it's not a split-screen experience. Each player gets a full view of the action. One plays on the television, one plays on the gamepad, and I think that'll be pretty fun, actually. I don't know if I'll be able to wrangle Tundra Boy to relive the Dynasty Warriors experience of the olden days, but I think it'll be fun even to play through in single-player mode. And again, just to give you a little bit of Treehouse coverage knowledge, there was a little bit of gameplay set in the Twilight Realm where they pulled the fucking moon from Majora's Mask out of the sky to twat that dragon from Twilight Princess in the head and send him crashing to the ground so they could attack him properly. Were I a person with more energy and, get up and go, I would have get up and gone from my chair at that point, because it was bloody amazing. But I'm getting dangerously close to fanboy levels here, so I'll just end by saying I hope Vati, Majora's Wrath, Girahim, General Onyx, etc. are playable characters, and Ganondorf was teased at the end of one of the trailers, so we should be getting him as a playable character as well. And I believe the good version of the main villain is playable as well, if the front cover is anything to go by. The blue girl with the book. Compare the two characters sometime. You'll see similarities. But, yep, that's Hyrule Warriors. September 26th, co-op play, love letter to both Zelda and Dynasty Warriors. It's going to be good. Next up was a sequel to Kirby Canvas Curse called Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, which kind of struck me, right there, in the place that I'm tapping right now. Because Canvas Curse was one of the only Kirby games I've ever really played. The other one would be Kirby 64, and I really like 64, the mix and match power-ups, etc. Canvas Curse, maybe not so much, but it was a fun game for what it was. Rainbow Curse, on the other hand, looks a lot more engaging, at least visually, and this is helped in no small part thanks to its completely claymation design. It looks gorgeous, really. That's all I have to say about it. Sorry, Hoppage, I didn't mean to hit you there in my energy and excitement-fueled rant. But, yeah, that's Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, also a 2015 title. I would severely hope they have some left over for 2014, because we're only halfway through the year now, kind of need to keep your system afloat, and Mario Kart 8 is great, but need more than just that. Moving on. Next up, they showed a game that's near and dear to my heart, at least its predecessor was, Xenoblade Chronicles X, formerly known as, simply X. I have to be perfectly frank here. I think the first trailer, or I would say the second trailer rather, showed off the game a lot better than this one did. This one went for a more serious kind of thing. It put me in mind of just regular RPGs, really, and that's not to build up the Xenoblade franchise now as some kind of monolithic figure. In and of itself was just a regular RPG, a very good one, but a regular RPG nonetheless. And, it showed off mechs, it showed off Japanese characters being Japanese and whatnot. I very much doubt they're going to go for a British voice cast this time, because, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, so stop listening for maybe a minute or two if you don't want to be spoiled. The Earth blows up. Just boom. These two armies start fighting above Earth, and Earth gets caught in the crossfire, and they take the continents, like America, etc., etc., or maybe just countries, continents would be a bit drastic, and they ship them off into space, and the Starship Americas gets knocked off course and lands on an alien planet, and there you see all the crazy creatures that you have seen from X thus far. And the game looks great, but like Xenoblade, it doesn't trailer very well. Trailers don't really show off the entire scope and feel of the game. It's much better when you get like a hands-on experience. So, having watched a bit of it on the Treehouse coverage section, my hype went up a little bit more, but I think the previous trailers did a better job of selling it. Although, that being said, the trailer did end with a Nopon character called Tatsu appearing. Thought it was Ricky at first, but they announced, spoilers again, that it's not a direct sequel to Xenoblade. It's more like a spiritual successor. That's why it's called Xenoblade Chronicles X and not Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So, that's that. That one is also 2015. Seeing a trend here? Next up was Mario Maker, which actually leaked just before the conference. It's Mario, you can make levels, you can switch between the 8-bit style of graphics and the new Super Mario Bros. U style of graphics. You can make your own Kaizo levels. I'm not sure if there's, online upload and download play. That would be great. Download other people's bullshit hard levels. Although it would lead to a new rise of easily made YouTube Let's Plays, so brace yourself for those, I guess. But all in all, not really much to complain about there. I doubt I'll download it, but it does look fun, so there's that. Next up was an entirely new IP from Nintendo. And yes, I know they make new IPs all the time. Not on this scale, I'd say. Splatoon is what you'd get if you take a bulletless, bloodless, third-person shooter featuring Squid Girls and mix it in with the graffiti mode from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. Where you have to trick on parts of the environment and it would change colour. The person with the most coloured parts of the environment wins. Here you're wielding paint guns, and it's kind of like 4-on-4, and you go around the environment spraying your paint or ink, I guess, everywhere, and the person with the most at the end, when the time runs out, wins. Interestingly, though, you can turn into a squid and surf or swim through your ink, which opens up loads of possibilities, for gameplay and strategy and whatnot. And this was just the plain old multiplayer mode. The devs have come out since and assured people that there will be other modes, they're just not ready to show them off yet. So hopefully there'll be a bit of single player stuff in there. Because, as, downright fun as it looks in multiplayer, 4-on-4, I would like the ability to play through a single player, if not campaign, at least experience. But Splatoon looks great, no doubt it will play great. It's nice to see this kind of new IP coming from Nintendo, and it's their take on an established genre, the third-person shooter, but they did it without blood, and they did it without bullets and gore, etc. And while that may turn some people off, to me it looks really fun, and I think, the bloodless shooter and the bloody shooter can coexist, and everything in between. Obviously, it's not just blood or no blood, there are, middle ground variants in between. And they went on for quite a while about Splatoon, to the point where I very nearly got bored, but it ended at just the right time. And that was basically the end of the conference. Reggie said thanks for watching, signed off, and then said, before you go, we have one more thing. And for a second, my mind flashed back to that one E3, where he said, before you go, why don't we take a look at the fireworks sequence in Nintendo Land again? And I just rolled my eyes and sighed, hoping that Nintendo would get their act together soon. But no, this time they revealed Palutena in Smash Bros. Gotta be honest, didn't really do anything for me. She looks like a fun character. I can't really tell what her moveset is. She seems to be cribbing moves from other characters, or at least using moves that look very similar, like reflect moves, super speed moves, etc. Sonic's really got to be jealous of that last one, but once the moveset comes out, I'm sure she'll be a pretty interesting and fun character to play as. But yeah, that was the Nintendo Digital event as a whole. And it nearly took me as long as the event itself to recap all this stuff, so I should probably give you my overall thoughts on how it was. I really enjoyed it. I don't think it was perfect. There were a couple of parts that dragged on here or there, like Yoshi's Woolly World. I didn't really mention it, but it went on for a bit longer than it should, considering it's a very simple concept to grasp. It was mostly the devs going on about how hard it was to make, a world completely out of wool or yarn or whatever material. And Splatoon as well. But that's a new IP, so I'll give that, a little bit of slack. Other than that, it was paced very well. It was consistently entertaining. I actually laughed at the Robot Chicken stuff. And while I do like Robot Chicken, I can very much take it or leave it, but it worked great here. And the Iwata versus Reggie thing will go down in history. It's bloody legendary. It's complete GIF/GIF material, and I think they knew. I think they knew people would take that to heart. And it's self-promotion for Nintendo. People will spread that shit around, tell their friends about it, and it'll work out well for Nintendo in the end. That was the digital event. Next came the complete onslaught of gameplay demos, new information, and even reveals from the Nintendo Treehouse. These guys are amazing. I can't say enough kind words about them. Not only do they handle translation work for certain games like Paper Mario and the like, they're also devs themselves, testers, and they put on a show for 3 days straight, and I was burnt out at the end of this because there was just so much to watch and see and take in. Watch and see are the same things. I'm being pedantic now, but whatever. We saw stuff like in-depth Splatoon demos, a lot of Smash Bros, very much playing to the crowd there on Nintendo, and it was just fantastic. But before I get more onto that front, they also held a Smash Bros Invitational Tournament, which for some reason was hosted by Jeff Keighley. I don't know why. He constantly looked like he wanted to get out of there, like he was afraid of Nintendo fans. And for good reason, because he's given Nintendo a lot of shit in the past, but I digress. It was, I'm not going to go in depth about how tournaments are run and whatnot, but they were playing an unfinished build of the game. Sakurai came out, said as much, said, don't break the game, etc., and then he walked off, godlike figure that he is. And, they went back and forth. Some matches were better than others. The announcers were sort of awkward, But I honestly think it was just the clash between them rather than the guys themselves. I'm sure, like, with other people who are on their own, they're great. I don't follow the fighting game scene much, so I apologise for my ignorance here. As a whole, though, the tourney was extremely entertaining, especially when Mega Man's Final Smash was shown off to the public in full context for the first time. Go search up Mega Man Final Smash reaction on YouTube if you want to see it for yourself, but it was just fantastic. And the final match between Zero Suit Samus and Kirby was really, really entertaining. And I think with a little bit of tweaking, a bit of fine-tuning, and a much better host. I'm sorry, Jeff, but you kind of brought the experience down a little bit. You need to figure out how to play Nintendo crowds better, because, you know, they're not going to put up with any shit at all. I think they could really create something on the level of the Nintendo World Championships, maybe. Because, you know, they name-dropped the Wizard, so maybe they'll do it again sometime. I would recommend bringing in more games, like have Smash Bros, but also have Mario Kart 8. I think that would be perfect. And stream it as well. It makes it so much more accessible, it's crazy. Oh, and just before I forget, in between the digital event and the Treehouse stuff, there was this thing called Nintendo Minute, where they showed off a bunch of other stuff, like the 3DS adapter for, you know, the Amiibo line, and stuff like Level 5's Fantasy Life, which is a mix of Animal Crossing and your traditional RPG, which looks pretty snazzy. They showed that off on the Treehouse, but it kind of bored me. I'm guessing this is another one of those games that doesn't demo very well, but plays great. There was also Mario Party 10, which was pretty much stealth announced. You know, there was no hype, there was no foreshadowing to it, but it was kind of like an inevitable thing, really. This time the gimmick is you can play as Bowser and fuck with your friends. So, you know, I believe the mode where you're all in a car is still there, but I stopped following Mario Party around 4 or so very ignorant in this regard, I do apologise. And speaking of the Treehouse, if I were to, like, go in depth with everything that was shown, I'd probably be here for 3 days myself. But they showed off live gameplay of stuff like Smash, Splatoon, Xenoblade Chronicles X, loads of stuff. And it was a friendly atmosphere, it was really engaging, and it was informative. And that's what you want. You want information about games you're looking forward to. And rather than shove cinematic trailers in your face that tell you nothing about how the game plays, they went completely in depth, they were completely honest, and it was so refreshing. And I think they should drop conferences completely and go for a pre-made video that they can make how they like. They can avoid any embarrassing slip-ups and whatnot. And while it may take away from the grandeur of the thing, they're still there on the show floor. So, I think they should just have a digital event in future, and definitely bring back the Treehouse for more coverage, and make it throughout, you know, the entirety of E3, because I was just hooked for the whole thing. It was pretty great. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Miyamoto's new IPs, actually. He showed off this game, I honestly forget the name. It may as well be Project Giant Robot for all I know. Where you make giant robots, and you battle other giant robots. I don't know how that's going to turn into a full game, but it seems interesting. And there was that, and there was another game called Project Guard, where you're essentially in control of a bunch of, like, security cameras and whatnot, armed with laser cannons, and your goal is to stop robots from reaching the center of your base. And these robots look strangely like Rob, so I don't know what message Nintendo are trying to send out there, but I'm not holding out hope that Rob will be back in Smash 4, but we'll see. And these games were all, you know, designed to work around using the television in conjunction with the gamepad, which is something Nintendo has struggled with ever since the friggin' thing came out. It's kind of been like a tumor attached to the Wii U console itself. It had no defining gimmick beyond off-TV play that could really sell the console. So Miyamoto was like, hey, you know, mate, I'm just going to make my own games that do this perfectly. Fuck you guys, I'm going home. So I hope the robot game's cool. Project Guard, you know, speaks for itself. And there was another game that he spoke little of, but also spoke volumes. And that was Star Fox. They announced a new Star Fox. There is no concrete gameplay footage of it yet, other than an R-Wing flying around an environment. It may have started out as a Wii game. They may have been working on it for 5+ years. It may be out within a year. They may be looking for a partner company to help them make it. Who knows? All I know is it's Star Fox. It is motherfucking Star Fox, and I am looking forward to that. Episodic or not, it's Star Fox. And I think the last couple of things to talk about were the two roundtable discussions that Nintendo held towards the end of E3. One of them was focused on a completely new IP by Intelligent Systems called Codename Steam, a kind of steampunk third-person shooter slash strategy game where you go around killing Cthulhu aliens or something, and you're working under the direct order of Abraham Lincoln, who has put together this special team to take out the alien menace, which is batshit insane, and I love it. And the art style, while it reminds me of like Elite Beat Agents, and I think it reminds everyone of Elite Beat Agents, was apparently inspired by American comic designs, you know, like with stuff by Jack Kirby and so on. It also puts me in mind of Valkyria Chronicles, almost to the point where it's kind of ripping it off. I'm not sure how to feel about that. Still images do not sell this game, I'll tell you that now. And that goes for 3DS games in general, especially A Link Between Worlds. That game looks like shit in still images. But in motion, Project Steam looks pretty good. Sorry, Codename Steam. Getting codenames and projects mixed up here. But it looks fun. I might try it out. I might not. The other roundtable, and this will be the last thing I'll talk about here, was a Smash Bros. One. And I think we were all expecting a new character reveal here. Maybe some new information, etc. What we got instead was a new third-party character. We got Pac-Man. Not the recent Pac-Man, with his scary teeth and crazy sneakers. No, we got classic Pac-Man, with the black eyes, the red booties, and always with a smile on his face. He looks great, he seems to play great, he's retro as fuck, and I think I found myself a new main, honestly. Because not only does he use the ghosts in his moves, he also references other retro games, like Mappy and such. The level of fan service honestly blows my mind, and I don't actually know why I'm gushing so much, but this was a Megaton. This is a really good character to have in the game, because Pac-Man, regardless of, you know, how he's treated nowadays, is iconic, and I think it's perfect to have him in there, regardless of how Wreck-It Ralph and such feels. Sorry, Ralph, just telling it how it is. His final smash is what you'd expect. Waka Waka Waka, Sonic, Mega Man, Pac-Man, Mario, all together, one game. Let the legend fight commence. And I didn't even mention the other little bits of news that came out after, or just as E3 was ending. Nintendo came out and said they have a future for 2D and 3D Metroid. Both variants, you get your 2D side-scrollers and your 3D, maybe Metroid Prime-esque games. Again, just very vague hints and whatnot, but it's there. That's what people needed to hear. And Aonuma said he hears the fans. He knows we want Majora's Mask 3D, and he's trying to do whatever he can to get it done. I can't hit my hand hard enough. I want MM3D! Gotta calm down. Sorry. And if that weren't enough, the long-fought dead Shin Megami Tensei vs. Fire Emblem was confirmed to be fully in development and on schedule. They confirmed this at the Codename Steam roundtable. So everyone got what they wanted, unless they were an F-Zero fan, or a Mother fan, or, you know, people waiting for Pokken Fires. But you get the point. It was a packed event, and there was loads to see, and loads to take in. And that, my friends, brings me to the end of this E3 2014 recap and discussion. I, like I said, was very cynical towards Nintendo before E3. The digital event and the coverage that followed kind of swayed me, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not completely for Nintendo now, but if I were 50%, you know, in regards to them before, now I'm 75%. It's just, I got my Wii U very late, you know, just in time for Mario Kart 8. Had I gotten it before, I probably would have hated Nintendo up until this point, because they didn't support it well at all. You know, I don't think there's any room for debate there. They just put it out there with very few games, third-party support rotted away, and it was struggling. they wouldn't have gone out of business because they've got billions in reserve, and I think people need to realise this. You know, they're not going to die just because of one failed console. If that were the case, they would have gone the way of the dinosaur with the N64, the GameCube, definitely not the Wii because that sold gangbusters, but that was, for lack of a better word, a fluke. They tried to repeat that success with the Wii U. Look where it got them. But I'm very hopeful for the Nintendo of 2015 and beyond, even though they've got some good titles coming this year. And I really hope they bring back the digital event and the Treehouse coverage for next year, because it made E3 for me. Regardless of what you think about Microsoft, Sony, EA or Ubisoft, I think Nintendo had the best showing here. And for the first time in a long time, I'm happy to say I'm a Nintendo fan. But, you know, I'm just fanboying right now. So I want to thank you all for listening to me drone on for damn near 40 minutes. And I shall see you all next time for another HellfireCast. Bye bye for now.